folks, PC from Cortina City, and I'm out doing some fine tuning to the car. If you watched the last video where we went up to Bacup and Rawtenstall on a road trip and up to Manor Park, you'll have noticed we had some fine tuning issues we were trying to address. Well, I've made some progress. I found the Vac Dizzy Advance pipe worked better on the vacuum inlet rather than on the ported connection on the carburettor. Ported's when you've got the tube, the vac pickup. This is for the vacuum advance on your timing, which is mainly used for economy. You can have it picking up the vac from before the butterfly valves on your carburettor, which is called ported, or post valves on the manifold. I had a spare T-piece on the manifold, so I've managed to connect into that. I like the way the car runs, it's a lot better. Why that is, I'm not quite sure, but it does run better with it on that connection. I've reset the timing. Also, what I found is my kickdown switch, the micro switch on the pedal here, on the gas pedal, was coming in at 3/4 throttle, which is no good. What I found with kickdown is kickdown needs to be set where there's a last bit of resistance on the pedal. Now, of course, a Mark III Cortina isn't built to have that feel, that tactile feel, that detent feel on the last section of the pedal. So you don't feel the right point where the kickdown should be activating. So I've done it where you just slightly squash the pedal against the carpet and the micro switch will just make it. I also noticed the pedal wasn't able to travel full deflection because the soundproofing was that thick on the bulkhead there. The pedal couldn't quite go all the way, so I've cut a little piece out and the carpet sort of scallops into it, so we're getting a bit more travel on the pedal, giving us more power. And the kickdown's right. What was happening was, if I was going up a hill, I was giving it 3/4 throttle, I was giving it kickdown on top of that, which was making the gears changes not quite as smooth as they should be. So the kickdown is, you've got to really push to get the kickdown, which is how you want it. It doesn't come in by accident now when you're just giving it sort of 3/4 throttle to 2/3 throttle, whatever it was. So that's fixed. Also, the overdrive, the torque lockup multi-plug connector on the gearbox, which one of the pins is the torque lockup solenoid feed. That's the multi-plug on the gearbox underneath, so you can take the box out with one plug. That contains the power pin for the torque converter lockup plates. Funnily enough, the pin had pushed out of the plug or pushed slightly back in the multi-plug when I've connected it together, and my torque converter lockup has never been cutting in. It might not have ever been cutting in for a while. And I noticed that on our last trip we were at 3,100 revs when really it should be around 3,050, or around 3,200 RPM at 70 mile an hour. So yeah, I'm just going to take you out on the road and show you the difference, the way that the car drives. Let me just set the camera so you've got the best angle I can get. I'm trying to get it so you've got everything there that you want. It's difficult to get the camera set up just right. I can't remember how we had it on the last trip. I'm leaning into the shot there. I think that was about it there, where you just have my head. I think that's it, isn't it? You don't want my back, so let's just take you back a touch. It's great, this camera, because you can tune it just how you want. I think that's about right. Let's not give that any more thought because it's dangerous. So I've got to forget you're there now and show you just what's been going on. We're going to go on some windy roads and we're going to pick up a vacuum pressure switch. I'm going to talk about vacuum pressure lines soon. Let me just move you out a touch. I know I just said I wouldn't, but I'm going to. Looking ahead. That's better. We've also got to put up with the flashing fuel light because we're low on fuel as always. So you have to put up with that. These roads are potholed to hell. Royal Mail truck just on, car flashing me through. Friendly enough. Flash them back. Very friendly. Keys on the floor, they're rattling about. We're going to be needing a hot wash soon as well. That screen's getting filthy. Now listen to the gear changes if you can. It'll take you some rough and windy roads. Just checking you're still on. I have to keep checking you're still on. I can't believe the camera's so good. Right, here we go. That's not full kick down, so it's gone down a gear, that's correct. Nice smooth up change there. Very nice. Little change there as we just go down. Those changes are good. Very happy with that. That's running a lot better. In we go to a left. Kick down again. Now it's not doing that crazy kick down that it would have done now. It would have gone into too low a gear before I fixed that, the adjustment of that kick down micro switch on the accelerator pedal. Little incline coming up, bit more power down. That's about right. It's pulling like a traction engine. Straight up the hills, no problem. Pulling like hell. Brilliant that. Plenty of power, loads of power. Here we go round this sweeping left on the incline. Little skip as a pothole hits the wheels. Through we go. A change there, perfect, just right. Whoa, slippy. Tons of power that it needs. It's not needing to change down. There's that much torque that it doesn't need to change down. It's sensing the load on the vacuum line, and it doesn't need to change down. It's got enough power to just leave it in that gear. These were the problems we were having. Also, I think that vac line's responding better to it being connected to the distributor now, the distributor vacuum cam. So the T-piece is a triple T-piece on my inlet manifold. It's got the brake servo attached to it, then two more T's come out, one small T, one larger T. The small T's go into the vac modulator on the A4 box. The larger T's going into reducer, which is then going to the distributor. And that's how I've reset it. I'll take it under the engine bay later on. I wanted to get this footage out of the way. I have some appointments this afternoon. I just want to get these parts. We're going to pick up a part. We're going to pick up a vacuum pressure switch, which we're going to connect into the vac circuit to cut the overdrive, the torque converter lockup out under certain conditions. At the moment, my torque lockup will disengage if I press the brake pedal. It'll also disengage if I'm under 40 miles an hour. But it won't disengage if I'm booting it. What we want to do is, just to make the upshifts not as harsh, they can be if your torque converter's locked up, you want it to disengage when you gas the car, when you boot the car. At the moment it's not got that facility. So if I was to drive it really harshly and the torque lockup's on, you've got a solid change between the box without the benefit of the cushioning effect of the torque converter, because of the lockup cuts the torque converter out of the equation. So you don't really want to be changing gears on this box anyway. It wasn't designed for it with the lockup engaged, or at least harsh gear changes, which you might get if you're booting it. So to get rid of that, we fit a vac switch into the inlet manifold pressure line. When I boot it, the vac pressure momentarily drops. At least it will re-raise again. You get a cutout on the micro switch, which will initiate a timing circuit, which we've already got on the brake pedal, so we just access that. Indeed, we've left the loom. We built the loom to take this vac switch. I've just never got round to fitting it. So the loom's got a spare connector underneath for the vac switch to connect to, and that initiates the torque lockup dropout circuit, which lasts for about 10 seconds. So it won't flip and cycle as well. It's 10-second lag on it, which is another feature. I built that in. If you look at the A4LD wiring videos I did on Project Bramble, you'll see how that was built. It's way back in the tech videos, but it is there. We've got a steep hill coming up now, which is a great way of testing this. I do have a Red Bull, to be fair. Shouldn't be drinking it, it's full of sugar, but I have one a week. One a week's not bad. Okay, join me because you like these road trips. Dash cam as well there. Dash cam looking a bit grubby. Here's the hill. Take a left. This is parboiled. Now it's a steep incline. We normally had crazy kick downs going on now. Let's see what happens. Pulls no problem. There's the change. That's fine. It's changed about right, and I'm not struggling to get up the hill. Let's see if it'll answer a kick down when I drop speed and then ask for a bit more power. Let's just see. We should get a nice gentle kick down now. Just one gear. Here we go. It doesn't need it yet. Then it's got enough torque to pull. doesn't want to go down. I'm not struggling to drive it, so I'm not bothered if it doesn't, to be fair. Getting even steeper now, putting more power in. It should kick down really, but it's climbing the hill without needing anything. I'm not losing any speed, I'm just going up at a steady speed. I would have expected that to have gone down one, to be fair. But it hasn't hindered me as such. There is actually a downshift there, you just heard it. There was actually a down. In fact, I think we were actually down one gear then, all the way up that hill. I just didn't notice it. I've not tried the actual live kick down yet, but of course, if you listen to some playback of the earlier road trip films in this car, you'll hear a sort of sporadic kick down when it really shouldn't have been there, and that was that pedal adjustment. There's a kick down there, but it doesn't feel wrong. Everything that the gearbox has just been doing feels natural, if you know what I mean. In other words, it's not jumping out at me. It's not making me feel uneasy about it. It just feels a smooth delivery and a very natural feeling setup. Which is good. Just gonna check there's no traffic ahead, then quickly glance back at the camera, make sure you're still on. You're just about still on. Bring it back. It's probably drifted a bit. There you go. There you go. So we're pottering along. 32 on the dash, 33 on the speedo, 32 on the dash, 33 on the sat nav. Absolutely beautiful joy to drive. There seems to be plenty of power. I've not heard any pinking yet as well. I wouldn't have thought that setting the Vac advance would affect the pinking, but it might do. Or rather I should say, changing the position of the Vac pickup on the advance of the Dizzy from ported to non-ported would have made a difference. It might do, because of the cam. Perhaps with the FR30 cam, it's better to run the Vac advance from the non-ported side. I don't know. No one's told me this, but it's just trial and error, really. Beautiful drive here. Just driving like a luxury car now. This just feels like a luxury drive. Very smooth. This is the best it's driven since I've had the car. But then again, I've not put a lot of effort into fine-tuning this side of the jobs, the tech jobs. I've been more on just getting the car generally right. It's a long process. I think breaking in a big resto project can take a year to get it how you want it. I'm going to come and get some fuel now, get that light off, get some 97 in the tank. COVID police there. Oh, it's a test station or something. Where the high vis, you get a high vis on, you're a policeman overnight. Nice turn in. What a great drive that was. How pleasurable was that? So smooth. Now then, we've got pump 3. Ooh, how do I pick a pump? Pick a pump, any pump, this one will do. 97 of the amber nectar, please, everybody. Or junction 27 of the M6 now. 97 on the menu. We'll catch you in a sec. I'm going to fill up. Then we'll take you on the motorway and we'll see if those RPMs drop down. Catch you in a sec. Looking good. PC. This is Cortina City. Okay, well, I've arrived at CPC. In fact, if that clip ended suddenly there, that was because the battery went. But now we're plugged in on my multi-charger. The camera just went. Battery. It's always the case, isn't it? Anyway, we're at CPC Preston. It's a great place to get all your electronic stuff from. There's such a big catalogue of stuff. If you want to see how much stuff they've got, just go to CPC online. I'm not sponsored or affiliated to them in any way. I just get a lot of them electronic stuff from here. And it's changed now because of COVID. You can't browse the shop. They would have a sort of general shop, computer stuff, cameras, all your kind of like mid-range stuff. You can get Henry the Hoovers here really cheap, and that got my Henry the Hoover from here. And the shop's pretty good. It's that whole floor of impulse buying stuff. But the catalogue, I mean, you know, the shop floor could never cover the thousands and thousands of stuff they've got in here. Computer stuff, audio, security, electronics, parts. And talking of parts, this is what I came for. Just have a look on the palm of my hand. This is the Vac modulator. Sorry, not the Vac modulator, that's on the gearbox. This is the vacuum, simply a vacuum switch. This one's adjustable from 6" to 22, I think. 6 to 22. Now, the engine should pull about 14. I think these are HG Mercury figures I'm giving you. Inches of Mercury HG. Normally it's done in HG. Although you can have PSI, can't you? But it's normally, PSI is normally positive. But anyway, HG. So we're hoping that this range, because you can get different ranges of switch. I'm hoping this is the right range from 6 HG up to 22. Now, I did put Bramble on the Krypton vacuum gauge, and it showed 15 at idle. So you've got to work out the right point to adjust this little Allen key here on the Vac switch to be at the right position, whereby when I'm lightly coasting with about half throttle at 3000 RPM under not much load, that this active is active. And then as soon as I gas it, or the car wants to drop a gear because of the loading's changed, in theory the vacuum drops out. It should follow the tracks of the modulator. What the modulator does, this should also do, because they're going to be on the same vac line. So what you've got to think about is the modulator. When I boot the car, the modulator senses a drop in vacuum and drops the gear accordingly. This wants to be doing a similar idea. We need to find the sweet spot where this will be happiest without any cycling off and on at cruise positions. Now, I mentioned earlier on, this is connected to a time switch as well, which I was already incorporated into the electronics behind the dash of the car. This is how it works. Okay, well, I'm going to talk you through how it works as we drive. There's a lock-up light here on the T selector, and there's a green to go light there. That just tells me that it's receiving the microswitch signal, because there's an inhibitor microswitch here. Lockup won't work unless it's in drive. Green says it's in drive. Red comes on when the lockup's completed its circuit. So that's when the speed pulses have been counted enough. It's happy that it's in drive and your foot's not on the brake. That red light will come on. When I press my foot on the brake, okay, it'll activate a time circuit that'll disconnect the lockup for 10 seconds. That's so that if I kept going like this on the brake, I wouldn't be pulsing the lockup off and on, off on, off on. You initiate a 10-second delay now, so you can't chatter it. So that's what that's for. This will also is also linked into that circuit. It will activate the same brake cancellation signal that my pedal does. It's independently wired, by the way. It isn't connected to the car's brake lamps. I know it's an independent relay across the brake output switch. In fact, you hear the relay click when I press my foot on the pedal. When the when the ignition's on, you can hear a clicking, and that's the inhibitor relay telling it to cancel the circuit. Have a listen. Have a listen. You hear that? That is the cancel switch for the overdrive. For the lockup. Keep calling it overdrive, it's lockup. And you'll see this goes green. Can't quite, oh, you can't, because the cover's not pressed down properly. This cover has to be pushed down. When I take it off, I keep forgetting to let this rubber cowling, that's it. And that slots down properly. See that green to go light? Let's get you covered up. Green to go. That allows it to come on board, and then the red, once it's happy with it, we're doing over 45. If my foot's not on the brake, you get your lockup coming in. But that works. However, I did read online that if I really give it some, and the plates are locked up, and it does a 2-gear downshift, it's going to be a bit harsh on it. And that's where this comes in. If I boot it, the vac will drop momentarily. It does actually come back up as well, by the way. You've got to remember this. But it'll drop, and the lockup will come out, because it'll fire that delay circuit. And that's how we're doing it. I just hope that this is the right... I'm going to suck the tube end here and just see if I can click it. I don't know how much HG we can suck, but I better ask Debbie from Dallas about that. But I'm hoping it's the right range. I think that it is. At the moment, I'm able to operate that by drawing on it with my mouth. So let's hope it's right. We'll go back and fit that now. Back to base to fit that. So I've took you out on the road to show you that the power's back in the car. We're not pinking. And it's to answer a lot of those questions which were raised on the last video about induction noise. I'm thinking perhaps is the induction noise something to do with the fact it's so well insulated in this cabin compared to the other cars, because you'll notice it is exceptionally quiet when we're driving. All I've got to do now is, the phone is locking in and out of I've got a Nokia C1 phone here. Look at this. Great phone. That's all I need in life. I don't want any more. Don't want no smartphones. Don't want any of this scrubbing screens. I just want rough, ready, good to go. This does pictures. There's my cats. This does texts. It does phone calls. It's got a camera on it. I don't want any more. I don't want some smart ass thing. Now, there's a downside to it. This one's got a fault on it, but I'll get another one. This one, the Bluetooth range on it, somehow probably the Bluetooth transmitter's damaged, so it doesn't pick up my hands-free car kit. But if I put it next to the Bluetooth module in the glove box, it'll pick it up and you'll hear my Parrot Bluetooth lock onto it. So that Nokia phone is great, but that particular one, it's got a little Bluetooth fault. In fact, when I'm using my Bluetooth headphones, there it goes, it's got it. They don't lock on either. It's not the car kit. So that connects in. It just flashed up blue, so it's connected. It's dropped out now, but yeah, that phone, I don't want a fancy iPhone. I don't need one. If I want to find my way around and get some maps or book a hotel and stuff, I'll buy an iPhone and I'll just leave it in the glove box. I won't be using it. Or get a little mini laptop. I don't need one. I don't want one. I don't like them. I don't want to be constantly checking for notifications. I'm not interested. And that's that. So, the Nokia phone connects to there. We've covered that. That's now locked on because it's in the glove box. So if a call comes in now, I've got full hands-free. There's a mic built in up here. You don't even see it because it's built just in the headlining. The system goes into the speakers. My control to dial or drop calls is there. It's voice activated as well. That's the Parrot Bluetooth. That's great. That's a safety feature. You can see my MP3 stick just in the side for all the songs. We're getting into car explanation territory, and I've already done all of this. Today's trip is to do the Vac Switch. So I'm going to head off back now. I've got an appointment later on. I'm going to have to leave you sort of half charging up. I'm hoping this charger lead can reach over to where the camera's mounted. It should be able to. Here we go. Folks, we'll go for a different camera angle on the way back and just see how it looks, because the charger lead won't reach when it's back there. So there's the Vac Switch we've got. This is CPC. We're going to head back. If the car will start, of course it will. Yes, it will. Right, I've got to head to a different location. So, oops, I turned that off by accident. Fuel is good. Amps are good, oil is good, temp is good, engine's running cooler than normal. Interesting. Since I've had the Vac Advance changed. Here's a techie question for you. What difference does it make having your Vac Advance ported or non-ported? I know that when you're ported, at idle there is no advance. So, it's interesting. I noticed on the Weber carb, let me just dial this in, hold on. I don't really need this swag. I'm just curious to see which route this takes me to the next customer. Here we go. Yeah, this CPC, you can only click and collect. It's better than nothing. That switch, by the way, I paid £14 for that. Okay, and the same switch on eBay is 28 quid, and if you get it from the auto transmission people as a kit, it's something like £40. So just goes to show, pays to shop around. Of course, as long as you're not going into false economies. I've had to come and pick it up, but I needed to do that anyway. I needed a road test. Let's hope that this angle works. I know you're going to have a bit of army action here, arms action, but it's the best I can do considering. Got that sat nav dialed in just to see which way it takes me, probably through Preston, but I'd rather go the motorway, to be fair. Cops, wow. No ambulance, no cops, no wombles. I call them wombles, it's not fair. They rescued me. Light's getting a bit harsh, my eyes suffer from bright light. That's better. Okay. Listen out then, folks. So far, all nice driving conditions. Can't even hear the gear changes, they're that good. It's on the radio.
And I know how frustrating that will be for pupils and teachers who want nothing more than to get back to the classroom. And for parents and for carers.
Oh dear me, what a mess. I got something in my ear. A welding burn, I think. I got a welding spark in my ear once and it's forever made a little crater. I'm liking this. Let's see how it performs now. Going into the M6 south. Right, we need something up this hill. I'll switch on dash cam. Yeah! Hey! Perfect! That's what it should do. That's what it should do. And there's the FR30 cam giving it the torque. That's what it should do. Listen to it. You try and fault that change. Cables rattling on the bloody glove box. I hate rattles. This is just a joy to drive. It really is. I couldn't ask. Whoa! I couldn't ask for any more. in you. Okay, good, good. Yep. Everything I want and more. Don't know if you'll be able to see the M6. But, God, why are there so many holes in the road? There's holes everywhere, it's a joke. And not like him, I don't leave my foot on the brake pedal blinding people with the brake lights. Into park, handbrake on. Nice. Supply some power. Wow. Onto the slip road, M6. I'm not going to give it full beans, just not racing onto it and dropping the kick down in again like last time. I'm just going to join just what I think's leisurely. Coming at us here, cement truck there. Looking for a smooth delivery of power. Effortless and smooth delivery of power as I join the motorway. I don't want any dramas, any fighting at the wheel, any pushing or straining the car. I don't want any of that. I just want this to be smooth, not a racing car. Okay, I want to get some speed up now, so I'll pick. Whoa, Renault Laguna right on my tail. Why you have to get so close? It's just, I've no idea why. Okay. That's fine. I don't want any more than that. What's wrong with this? Hey, what's wrong with this picture? It's perfect. Straight to 70. He just got there without me even thinking about it. Let's go for a 75 check. A bit naughty there, let's be naughty. Being naughty. Bit of buffeting. 75. Good. Bit of heat on the feet. So really, I'm looking forward to getting back to the unit now and getting this switch fitted. Time for a hot wash, I think. It's hot wash time. What time is it? It's hot wash time. Woo! stand there, they're not really overtaking, or they're coming up slow. No pinking under load, no pinking under load. Has he got the power to overtake? Let's try this truck. No, he's gone. Does what we need it to do. Straight back in the 75 mile an hour club. If it weren't for this dickhead, just stuck there in the outside lane for no reason. Flood probably. Right. All clear. Here we go, let's see what this does. That's nice. That's just what you want. And then it went into overdrive. Into lockup. I keep calling it overdrive, don't I? Lockup. Hot wash! Woo, for hot wash! Right, here we go. Look at this now. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how it gets up this hill. See now the lockup would kick out now as my loading goes. It just pulls like a train up there. It's not kicked down for it. Does then, if I just ask for a little bit more, see it just did exactly what I wanted it to do. That's fine, listen to that, that's perfect. It just ate that hill. Just gobbled it, just ate that hill. It just ate it for breakfast. Wow! Oh my. Found the rattle. I think it's a cable in the headlining, would you believe? You want to be speaker wires probably, or the internal light, sensor light. I reckon it's going to need a passenger to ID that one. It'll be just a cable just going to find that rattle if it kills me. Okay. It's just eating it. It just ate the hill, chopped it up. Faultless, as far as I'm concerned. That test is complete. We'll get you back to base. We're done. Gonna go get a passenger, take them out, and we're gonna lock down that loose wire there. Just pull it taut. It's coming in at really low movement. Could almost get it by rocking the car. It's that rattly. Don't know where it is, but it's something there somewhere. A couple more little bits and bobs of hills around. I'm really pleased to take you out on this road trip as well. I know I'm just burning up a little bit of time, but this doesn't cost anything. This is relatively easy to edit as well, folks, so I don't mind taking this little trip out with you. And also, if you like the channel and you're always watching, then I'll give you a little bit of bonus footage. Just imagine you're out in a car driving with me. Why not? Some people said just film just driving all day. Okay, I'd love nothing better than that. Power down. Keep up with that car, no problem. So that's the cam as well, delivering plenty of power. See that spray from the car and the wipers pick it up. Again, toys you know about. Quite sure why they're wandering all over the place. I wonder if you do a harsh kick down now, it'll drop it. Probably will. See, at this speed, the overdrive isn't on. At this speed, it would probably allow it to go down the full kick down. Let's try it. Yep. That's right. Now, I notice it upshifts quicker. There's a bigger gap on the upshifts between Ruby and Bramble. You notice there that second to third upshift, not the overdrive one, was relatively short even though I had full power down. If I was to tune it myself, I'd like that gap just a little bit wider between the 2 and 3 upshift. That might be something to do with the vac pressure and the type of modulator. I think there could have been different types of modulator on the sides of the gearboxes. For example, because this gearbox was on the Cosworth, it was on the 2 litre, it was on the double overhead cam. What if there were different types of operating modulators, and that the one I've got on here is not for a 2 litre Pinto? It's possible. In other words, the vac pickup point on a Cosworth engine could be different than a double overhead cam engine, depending on where in the manifold they connected it. They may have adjusted the modulator to suit, so that could explain the difference between the 2 and 3 upshifts. A way of proving the point would be to, whoa, would be to swap the modulator from Ruby into this and see if it changes the upshifts. We've caught that truck up now. Anyway, enough of that. I'll see you back at base with the Vac Switch. That's been the road test. I hope you've enjoyed, and you conclude with me that the gearbox is virtually perfect, apart from maybe that 2 to 3 upshift interval. But it's all, well, certainly made a lot of progress anyway. Certainly answered a lot of questions. Done quite well. Catch you back at base. Okay, we're back at base after that trip out to pick up the Vac Switch and test some of the improvements we've been doing, and a Vac line is now attached to the inlet manifold T or Y adapter. It's a triple adapter actually there. Brake servo, Vac modulator for the gearbox, and the advance Vac to the distributor. So I've got 3 things connected now. As I said earlier, the distributor didn't used to be connected to that. I've blanked off the pickup on the ported side on the carburettor, so it's picking up off this T-piece now. You can just see there, it's a triple T-piece. The pipe now comes over the wing onto the floor, then up onto the bench here, and this on the bench now is what we've got. Let's turn that light off to connect the Vac switch to. A little battery here and an LED. The idea is I can sit this in the car and then monitor it under load conditions to see if I need to adjust the switch. There's a little Allen key on the pipe connector inside it, which you can rotate to adjust the sensitivity and the range of this Vac sensor. So that tube, we'll have to wind the window down on the passenger side and place this in the car, try and get it so the bonnet doesn't nip the tube, drive down the road and monitor how this dips in and out. Before I do that, I'm going to have to put a T-piece into the line because we still want the gearbox operating on the Vac mod. At the moment we've pinched the Vac mod hookup point just to initially test this. Also, I connected the car to the Krypton's Vac gauge. We were getting 16 right the way up to 25 Vac, maybe beyond. It was certainly high on the engine. When we revved it and blipped it, we were able to see that gauge move around, and indeed I've had it running on this now as we stand, and it does drop in and out as you blip the throttle. So it's looking like it's initially in a workable range. You know, it's switching on now as the engine starts up. When I blip the throttle, the LED goes out, comes back on pretty quickly. So it's just how quickly it comes back on. I'm expecting things to change when the car's under load conditions. I think that very difficult to test this when the car's static. From what I've read, the Vac is seriously affected by the loading of the car, which is what we want, because we want this to be dropping out when it's all loaded up, and only when you come back off the lighter throttle and the car's a bit more free and cruising, that it then dips back in. So we're hoping that this LED will give us an indication of that dynamic as we drive. So we should see this LED staying off quite a lot when the car's trying to get up its speed, and the gearbox should drop down appropriately to try and get the car up to the speed that you want, and this should try and sort of catch it up. They should work together. It is a known technique to do, so it should work. People do this, and the kit is out there to do exactly what we're doing, so there's no reason why. The only thing we don't know is the exact adjustment of this to get it to be, the lockup is on when we're at the right cruising conditions. That's the only thing we don't know. So we're going to need the Allen key, and bring it with us. There's a little Allen key here, and we'll take that out, mess about with it. I can only really go on the dual carriageway, which is limited to 50 at the moment. There's nowhere around me locally where I can get to 70. It's a long haul to the motorway. We'll see. What we're going to do now is put a T adapter on this line, poke this through this passenger window. We're going to have to put up with a wind noise because we need it on our lap, really, or visible, and then we can see how it performs and what actions happen under these load conditions with the Vac. If that all checks out good, we go under the car and we fit this by the gearbox, and there's already, as I said, a loom ready to receive the inputs from this that I already forwardly thought out, just that I've never got round to installing this micro switch. I've never had it. So the loom is there under the gearbox, 2 wires which simply join together and initiate a timing circuit which drops out the torque converter lockup for 10 seconds. So this micro switch will be triggering a series of 10-second delays which will stop it chattering off and on, off and on. Okay, on the road, I'm going to put all this up. Let's drive out and see what we get. Okay, I've hooked up just in the centre console. I don't know if you can quite see the LED on there, but it is on just there. So we're going to drive. By the way, I'm looking forwards. I'm not looking at that. I'm listening for it because it clicks. You can hear it. So you can hear it clicking there as I load the engine up. That's how we've set it up. There we go. Set up like that. If you can see it, just on the edge there. So if we load it up, you'll see it click off. There, it's off now. See what happens when we get up to 50. It's still off. On now at 50, so it would work at 50. Okay, so it's going to work at 50, and even if I drop down now, once it's reached the actual speed and it's not loading anymore, so in other words, when you coast it doesn't drop out. It's just dropped out then as I've put my foot down again. Now it could need tuning a little bit, this. It is responding to throttle input, so it's doing roughly what it should, everybody. Bring it up to you. There, got it in my hand, look. Doing what it should. Off, on, off as I blip the throttle. Gearbox changes down okay. Back on as we coast. Off. So around the 50 mark it's okay. We need to get it to work at 70, so it may require a tune to get it to work at 70, because I'm going to need extra throttle to maintain 70, and that extra throttle might be too much to not let it trigger. It might be too much vacuum drop for it not to trigger. So really there's no way around it except finding a road we can do 70 on, which means unfortunately it's going to mean the motorway, but looking good so far. Okay, I've pulled in, I'm ready to adjust it. It works alright at 50, but if you try and get to 60, the new throttle position to maintain 60 mile an hour won't allow enough vacuum. You can just see it lit up at the moment because we're stationary. Hold on, let's get it in view. There we are, because we're stationary. Battery just on my lap. There. Battery just on the lap. Unit just there. So, got to take the vac tube off just here. Alter this now till it's less sensitive. It's too sensitive to throttle input. Needs to be less sensitive. Needs to be a bit more of a boot to get it to cut off. So we're going to turn the screw. I don't know which way is less sensitive, so now it's trial and error time. Here we go. Trial and error. Okay, I've pulled in, and two turns clockwise creates it even more sensitive. So we're going to have to go 2 back and then 1. So 3 anti-clockwise now, and we should be heading. So we know it's anti-clockwise decreases its sensitivity. At the moment it's very sensitive to throttle input, so we're going anti-clockwise. So we just place, this is the tool just using here, just a small Allen key setup on the end of one of my adapters there. So I'll switch off because it'll stall, well, it doesn't stall it, but it makes it run rough if you don't have the tube on. Let's turn that out on the road again, see where we get. At least we know which way we have to go. Wow, an old Escort van, a Mark 4 Escort van just went past. Wow, could have been a Mark 5 actually. Wow, okay. Okay, we're hooked up, that's looking better. So when I say turns, just in case you're doing this, they're hand turns. That's a classing as a turn on my ratchet, by the way, like that. So I've gone 5 now, and it holds up to 65. I have to watch it because the average speed cameras. Okay, but I'll show you as we drive. You're going to get wind noise, so you just have to watch the birdie. You probably can't see the LED. It is only a 9-volt battery there. Out we go. I can feel it in my hand. I'll shout because of the wind noise for you. Still in. So, still in there. I want it to drop out under load. Let's see what happens. Dropping out there now under load. Dropped out. Back in. Don't forget that my brake will also be doing the circuit too, so it won't chatter anything like what we get here because of the 10-second delay. So I won't be able to chatter it on my pedal by getting the sweet spot or the switching points. There'll be some hysteresis sort of built in with the timing circuit. Hope you can hear me. Sorry about the wind noise. You're right next to an open window. Here we go. Out. Under load. Out. Still out. Back in now. Back in now. Back in at 50. 45 mile an hour. Still in. It's going to be in all the time until I accelerate. Let's lose speed. We've got no one behind us, so we can basically go from a standing start, get the average speed cameras. So I'm just going to drop my average speed so I can afford to get up to probably 60, maybe 65. Right down on the average speed. No traffic for miles behind me. A car in front may be ready to pull out, watching him. Right, okay, here we go. Dropped out as I accelerated. Still out, which is what we want. Still out at 50, which is what we want. Still out, don't want it in yet. Right, in now as I coast off. I'm at, can I make 60? It's out as I accelerate to 60. In back in as I lay off the gas. We might be able to make 70. I think it's going to do it there where it is. Scrub the speed, right off the average speed cameras. It looks like we're very close. If we're not, it's just going to be one more little turn and at least I know which way to go. So if I put this under the engine now and it doesn't work at 70, 75, we know that when we get back to base we just turn that screw a little bit more till we get it. And that would be it. As long as it disengages when you boot it. Whoa, full kick down there. As long as it disengages when you boot it. This is what you want. Just like it is doing. Certainly uphill, so it's definitely like what we said. It's the loading that makes the vac difference. The loading on the engine as well as the RPM. Somehow in the physics of the engine, folks, by loading the engine, that drops the vac pressure. Even if you're doing 3000 RPM, because you're opening the butterflies of the carburetor, you're dropping that vacuum and equalising it with atmospheric pressure. Dropped out, drop back in, drop back out, drop back in. See, that's where I can dance it. to work and getting it to bounce. And that bouncing is what you don't want your solenoid doing. Birds in the road. Out. I think I roughly know it's right because I know where about 70 is on my gas pedal. Okay, and it feels at 70 mark it lets it drop back in, and on almost where the accelerator's to the floor, it definitely is out. You might be able to hear it clicking yourself. It definitely clicks out on kickdown every time. Let's check it. Maybe not that time. Did on the full kickdown. Might want to go a little bit more. Or maybe I've gone too less. Let's just see. One more run. It's in at the moment. Hold it down in the dark. Keep your eyes on the road, folks. So testing the Vac Switch. That's going to be used in conjunction with the brake and timing circuit to operate our torque converter lockup clutch. Out now. In again. So we can definitely coast at 40. Well, you're always going to be able to, it's going to be on all the time on off the revs. You've always got full back. But don't forget our speed circuit cuts in as well. So if I was to coast to a halt, you're not going to stall the car because the speed circuit will drop it out as well. So because what you don't want is you don't want your lockup clutch on all the time when you come to a stationary halt. That's why you've got to have it so it disengages with your brake pedal and ideally with your speed. You can run it without a speed sensor and just use the brake pedal when you get to your traffic lights, of course, as long as you're not rolled to a halt. It will try and stall the engine, although I do think the engine, the physics that the gearbox is set out, I think in the fluid matrix is such that it won't let it work in first anyway, but I'm not sure about that. Accelerating, it's dropped out, which is what you would have wanted. Look at this idiot now, watch this crazy fucker. Oh, you should see this guy behind me. He tried to make that gap ahead. It's going to make any difference to his life. Let's fuck him up and go slow. So I think I'm going to set it up now, everybody, in the car and see how we get on. And if it doesn't work at 75, we'll just turn it a little bit more. I don't really want it locked up after that because I don't think you should be cruising at more than 80 miles an hour. I don't class that as cruising, that's racing. Cruising is where you're just at that nice sweet spot. It's out. I'm feeling it in my hand, I don't need to look at the LED. It's in, out, you shake it all about, you do the okey cokey and you turn around. That's what it's all about. We're going crazy for vacuum switches, folks. Woo! Oh mama. In, out, shake it all about. You shake it all about. There we go. Can't get to our 70 number, we'll have to do it under the car. We'll arrange it such that it's easy to get to by just jacking the front of the car up, okay? Out. Actually, you can get a 70 run because there's no more cameras after this lay-by. In theory, we can get to 70 here because we've missed the other average speed camera, so it won't get us. And this used to be 70, so it's not morally doing any harm. So there's no more cameras till the very last one, so let's just see. It's out at the moment. Still out. Still out, 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 70, it locks in. It stays in. In. Now I don't think, there's no way it knows where I've been. You can't help but get paranoid with those speed cameras because you just think, well, it can't do it. That's right, it works. If we have to do a slight tweak, we shall do a slight tweak. That's one for the motorway. Let's go back to base. Making sure now. I don't know at what point the road jack there, what we just went past. Well, the LED's finally broke. I thought the car was pinking then when he had that road jack. But oh no. No, that's all good. So we've established that. I've kept the vac tube, hopefully it's the same length as the tube that goes down to the side of the gearbox because we are going to be teeing in there. And I wasn't sure if the longer the tube you got some vacuum drop or loss, I wasn't sure. So when I was calibrating it on this tube, will it be different when it's connected to the gearbox? That's the only thing we don't know because it's a different, would there be less pressure near the gearbox than there is on this tube? That's the only thing, I'm not sure. Still drops out there. And that is what you want. This is the correct switch because there were 3 switches to pick from. Okay, we'll see you back at base. Over and out for now. Okay, we're back in the workshop. Time now to jack the car up, jack the groove and get under. Fit our wiring harness, build the wiring harness first, ready. And then we could go under and plug in. So I just got a little rubber pad on the end of the jack and it fits just under the cross member. Makes no problem doing this. Hold on, I'll get you back in. Here we go. Up we go, some axle stands on here. I always jack from that point. Okay. I'll get you underneath the car and go show you where we're going to hook up. Vac modulator, no, vac control switch. torque lockup, and then we'll go to the whiteboard. I'll run you through a bit of schematics on the whiteboard, a bit of a tech lesson, just so you know exactly and you're clear in your mind what we've been up to on this tech video. Okay, PC, Cortina City, keep it on going. I'm under the car, and this, I've just put the other connector into it. It was just dangling under the car with just one side of the connector ready, so I didn't have these bare wires. I've just plugged into it, so I've got to make a loom now into that socket. There's the socket, was ready. It wasn't dangling down, it's in a little clip just up in the gearbox. There's a nice clip that holds it. Okay, so if you can see it, the camera quite being naughty. There we are. Somewhere under the pan was the little clip that just holding this plug in. Down we go again. There's the plug. So that comes out. I have to just use two hands to unplug it again. Then we build a loom enough to reach the vacuum switch, and then the modulator's just on the side of the box. Let's even get you into the modulator. There. You can just see it. I'm going to tee into that and find a convenient place to mount that switch underneath here. Let's do that next. Back to the bench. The thumb wheel is counterintuitive. You press it one way, it goes the opposite way you think. Right, I think you can set that. Back to the bench, let's go. Okay, soldering iron's ready. I'm just building this loom, so just got to extend the cables a little bit. So I'll just do a join here and heat shrink over. There we go for this. Then we'll do this a little loom wrap on this, get it looking neat. In Ford loom tape, of course. So that's soldered there. Slide the heat shrink over. That gives us one. Sometimes you can pick a heat shrink that's probably just a little bit, that's just a little bit spiky there. Let's trim that a bit, trim that little spike off it. And slide that on. We'll just trim that down. You can see what I've done. Just push two wires together, solder, but it's just a little bit over. Got two to do anyway. Do this one next. For these, to keep it sort of flush with the heat shrink and push them into each other. And then squeeze them and then solder them. Usually works. That one's, as I say, that one just made a spike. Little jagged bit of wire sticking out. We just trim that down. There goes another. Let that cool off. Just get side cutters. Cut that little rough edge off this one, just so the heat shrink will slide on. Like that, and he cuts it. You idiot. You idiot. That's not how you do it. This is better. There we go. Right, we're on. Slide the heat shrink on. Our first one. Slide the heat shrink over our second one once you've soldered it up properly, you idiot. You know better than this. We'll get it. That should work. Okay, let's get this wrapped. Loom tape next for this. Okay, our loom is nicely built. You can see that there. Vac switch at the end, plug at that end, and the forward grey loom tape just to keep it looking as factory as we can. So there you go. Folks, you won't be able to see it there because it's tucked away neatly, but there's a little shelf there, and I've zip tied up the sensor. So it's nice and clear and protected there and ready to go. So we're ready to test. We're all fitted underneath the car and we're ready to go now on the road and just see if that does what it's supposed to have done. Out we go. It's all fitted, loomed in, zip tied up, reasonably weather protected on that little shelf of the gearbox. So let's make sure we're connected under the bay. I think we are. Back onto the T-piece connector. Yep. Right, we can go out, see what we get. Road test it now. Guys, girls, we are on the road and testing. That red light you see there, just by the T-shifter, is the lock-up light is on. So it should go off when I cane it, or press the brake. At the moment, we're just under 40 mile an hour. Just under. If I drop any lower, it will drop out. If I accelerate, it should drop out. At the moment, there's a lot of traffic around. It's dropped out on the acceleration. It's worked. It's worked. We're in. Back on again. It's worked. We're in. We are running. Folks, we've done it. All you got to do is fine tune it in case it's not quite in at 70, but we think we got it. If not, it's just a little turn on that screw anti-clockwise. That is it. Overdrive is on. Test the brake. Brake kills it. Revs go up a little bit. Overdrive. Lock up I mean, not overdrive. Okay, let's do another run back. We'll try it again, but that's doing the job. We're in. Okay, round for one more run. To show you where we are, round the roundabout, onto the 50 zone. Then I'll take you down to the stick. You can watch it go into a lock-up. It. Back in any second. Boot it. Too much kick down, I was on full power then. I really did boot it then, by the way. That's how it should run. Beautiful. Nicely locked up. Accelerate a little bit. Down it goes again. Back in any second. Feel it drop the revs when the lockup engages nicely. That's everything. That was that. I'm quite pleased. Like I said, I might have to turn it a touch if it doesn't stay at 70 or 75. I want it at least, well, definitely needs to be up to 80, I would have said. So I don't want to really be, I want to encourage myself keeping the lockup on around a maximum of 80 mile an hour, 78 really. You see 3 mile an hour tolerance plus 5 or whatever it is. Anyway, let's watch it again. Last time, then I'll get you back to base and we'll talk it through on the whiteboard. Okay, let me concentrate on driving back. We'll see you back at base. That's the result. Superb. Okay, we're back with a big success. I'll get out to the whiteboard now. I'll talk you through exactly what we did, and that's this done and wrapped, and that job finished. Let's get out and check it out. Folks, I'm back. Let's just get the heaters off. We're going for another test, and this test now should show us the lockup on the motorway. Hang on, the interior lights come down. What the hell's going on? Oh, that's better. When you clip out like that, we're falling to pieces. Right, so that's because I was trying to find a wobbly wire. A little wire that just goes tick, tick, tick. It drives you mad. In theory, I've got a really good feeling about this. Loads of power has returned to the... Well, power is now in the vehicle, folks. And as you saw, we went underneath, we fitted the switch, we tested it in the night time. Now we're going to try it on the motorway at that elusive 70 mile an hour. Well, it's not elusive, it's just that the roads are elusive. And we're going to give it some beans round some corners, although it is wet, so it's not ideal. I'm just going to wait for a gap in the traffic now. Let's just put a little bit of distance between these cars. Oh, there's always someone behind, isn't there? The power's back. Since I've done that timing. You remember last week we left you off with that dilemma. We talked about it today. The kickdown we've fixed. So this little clip now will take you on the motorway, round some windy roads. Although we'll have to be extra careful, simply because it's raining. Although it looks like it's clearing up, to be fair, but even so, we've got greasy roads there, so watch out. The power's back though. I'll see if I can show you what I mean. Well, I said back, he was never here, was it? We're getting surges between the gears. Let's just boot it. There's the surge. There's the power surge, like we get on Ruby. Look at all that power. Oh, help me! Somebody help me! Woo! Oh, whoa, whoa! Ah! Up the hill we go. Ah, I'm skipping! Ah! Bit of heat on the feet. An awkward position to take a bike. Here we can't do it. Just cannot take that chance. Even at this point. Now we can. Getting somewhere in the ballpark now. No pinking, zero pinky binks. Starting to catch Ruby up then. And you never know, with a H&H Dizzy on, we could get to parity with Ruby. Kickdowns are all in the right places. I know I've mentioned that fact several times in tonight's video. Quaffin time. I'm just making sure you were recording then, because the other day I did this and I forgot to press record. Quaffin time. Shout out to Richard Valentino, who might be watching tonight. Hello, Richard. He's a commuter and he's on his computer. Wayne Baker could be out there, Lee Holmes could be out there, Andy the Lens could be out there. We've got Dave King's out there, Peter Barker's out there. Sisu! Skeggy! They're all out there. Those quaffers and those teetotalers. As you join us for this final part of the film, before we take you to school to the whiteboard, you're going to have to enjoy a bit of PC whiteboard tech talk. Interior light on there, just trying to give you some. When they do these pro videos, they have LED lighting inside the cabin, okay? We can sit back though. Nothing happening on these nice dip roads here, but we'll soon be hitting the motorway. Can you see the difference in performance, folks, since we've done these alterations? Do you want to go through what we've just done, or do you want to wait till you get to the whiteboard? Another obstacle in the road. I'm not overtaking on the summit. A scooter. The big hill test coming up. We went past this coming from the other direction in an earlier part of the film there. I don't know, this film might be a bit shorter than normal, but it hasn't been a long filming session this time. Happy to say the rain has stopped. We should just drive and get some nice gear changes now coming up this hill. Getting a bit bright. Bright lights affect my eyes. Here we go. Starts off the course in first. Off we go. There's the first change. Our second change. All good so far. So there's plenty of talk available. It's not asking me. Apologies if I've repeated this hill climb clip, by the way. I could have done this twice. Apologies, I weren't sure if it was recording, and I won't have a lot of time tonight to edit. So I'm not struggling with it. It's just doing what I want, it's just pulling. I'm not having to apply any more gas on this hill. In fact, I just laid off a little bit there. No lock up at the moment. It's not going fast enough to lock up. So that didn't need to do anything at all. Lock-up's in now. Well, you can hear it for yourselves. I found out what the rattle was. It's the seat. Little connection on the side of the seat. You okay back there? You quaffing? We just need a Red Bull to keep the wolf from the door. But we're not gonna. switch and it's doing exactly what it should, or rather looking out for the indicator, the lock-up indicator. We're going to see, all we're going to do now is get up to 70 on the M6, okay, and then just see if it holds at 70. If it doesn't, then I have to just tweak it one more on the vac control switch. Hysteresis is okay really, because it's got that timer built in as well as its own hysteresis, which is the sort of switching point, the difference between off and on points. Try with the interior light on, actually, it might help a little bit. Just put a little bit of light on me, so I'm not shadowed. So yeah, you just have a listen out and see what you think of the engine sounds. Not sure if I'm going to splice the dashcam footage in, because it really takes ages to do it, and this Friday's video is late on the cutting room floor. I'm going to be right up to the line on this one. I'll be lucky to get you out before 8 o'clock tonight. Lots to do. We'll only go 1 or 2 junctions down, then straight back, then back to the workshop for the whiteboard, and I'll just sketch a little schematic for you, and then it's over to you, quaff and tie, and we'll see you in the live chat tonight as well. That's not going to be car chat, by the way. It will be. Anyone asking, can you keep it car related? We try to, but it's really just a pub chat. We really call it a pub chat. So it's a bit of drunken pub chat or whatever. The topic can drift. We keep away from the C word though. No C words here. I've had that mistake before. We won't be doing that mistake again. No C words. Here we go. Building up now. Let's see what we do. Little downshift as I asked for that. Down the ramp we go. Very nice change there. Indicating on. Checking mirrors. Looking for a way in. Very smooth so far on that delivery. Here comes the moment of truth. Clear to join. Keep the power down. If I really wanted to boot it, I could have done that. Lock-up's still off. Might not make it. Doesn't look like it. Yes, it's in. It's in. Lock-up's on at 70. Done the job. Well, just shy of it. I'll get to 70. We're shy of it there. 4 mile an hour shy. Shout out for the hot wash. Shout out for the hot wash. Dropped out then as I asked for power. For this truck overtake, so that's good. No stupid mega kick down. Taking us to 75 very smoothly to 75. Will we get it at 70, 77? Yes, we've got it. It's okay. We get it. We get it. This is a lovely cruising speed. Look. Car coming up. Van coming up pretty quick behind me. Sandwich there, folks. Hope you're still recording. Yeah, you are. You can just hear it drop down nicely as I ask for the power. Ready for the hot wash? Hot wash! Hot wash! Hey! Woo! We can smell it from here. A combination of Rain-X and washer fluid. We have lockup at 80. 3,500 revs at 80. 3,500 RPM at 80. With full lockup, so we can cruise. We've done it. We've done it. Yes. Yes. Listen to that cruising. How about that for comfy, relaxed cruising? Ah! Listen to, we're in the fast lane, just keeping up with anybody else, just driving like a new car. Isn't that nice? Let's get off now and come back, and we're done. We'll get back to the workshop. Yes. Seems okay. I'll let this clip run, so you're gonna really have quite a long, steady clip now, just so you can see what you think about the gear changes and power input. We'll put a bit of power input on to this slip road now, so we'll loop back round. We're coming off at Leyland. I'll rejoin with max power and just see how quickly we can get up to 70 and rejoin the traffic. That's if there's a road back on here. I actually don't know if there is. I'll have a look. I think there is. Yeah, there is. Sorry about that, it was a late one. Well, I can't really say any fairer than that. The way that it's gone is exactly to plan. There's a guy in a van next to me there, and he's like, give a double take then. If I was talking to myself. Whoa, let's see through those lights. Power surge. This will be the last time we boot it now. then we're calling it a day. It still hasn't got, it's not got what Ruby's got. This could be the H&H distributor. Don't forget, H&H match the bobbin weights to your cam, and that could make a hell of a lot of difference. So that'll be the only difference then. As I said, that kick down adjustment was critical. I've got it on the carpet, so you've got to squash into the carpet. Here we go for M6 then. And that lock up and vac setting is just right. Can't give it beans around this corner, I said I would. I like them changes. I'm hoping you can see everything from that camera angle. I'll have to put a bit of sat nav on for you, if I can find the right clips. No, we can't really gas it coming in. Well, give it a bit there, but not quite enough room, really. But let's give it. Will Sprinter Man let us through? Yes. There's a second kick down, which is how we want it. Couldn't quite do it because the Enterprise van was in the way, but we can get straight in with the traffic, no problem. Give him a little bit more room. Go for outside lane. Lock up still out. Lock up in still out. Lock up in. That takes us back in the game again. Before I even knew it, I'd got to speed without even thinking about it or battling with it. It just became very natural. It's so natural you can just sit back and relax. Let's go for the middle lane now. The fun's over. Checking mirrors for middle lane. Let's quit while we're ahead. Very light drizzly rain there. There is definitely chatter on the vacuum. There is a chatter point because I can hear my time switch relay chattering. And there is a sort of, and that's why we've got that time delay in it. That would have created a right fluttering on the solenoid on the gearbox if we didn't have that time delay. So 70 gives us about 3,050 revs. I'm going to overtake now. That he didn't let me go through. That's what a pig he is. Just let me rot there. Slight modification to the timing box so we don't get that chatter, that relay chatter. The relay is emulating exactly the operation of the vacuum switch. The relay then triggers the time circuit. So the relay itself needs a lag building on it, just a capacitor across to stop that chattering. So we'll make a mod to that. It's alright if you do sudden pedal changes, but when you're on the cusp of the switch, you get the Vac switch flipping really quick, it's then triggering that relay, and that relay's then triggering like this. The time circuit itself doesn't, because it's in a 10-second loop. The relay that triggers it does, so we need to just dampen that relay down. It's a very nice driving experience at 70. I've got my Variomatic on the fan speed here. Nice cold air to the face here, and red hot feet. Junction 27. Do another hill climb for you. Part-time lights here. Horrendous potholes there. Hope I can get this up in time for you. Apologies, it's all one continuous take. I just hope the angle I've picked for you today is good enough. I'm trying to look what it looks like on the screen. It's hard to tell, but you can see this side window. You can see a bit of the front. But you might need the dash cam there to help you. So far, there's only one modification I need to make, and that's what I just discussed, which is the trigger relay. or the timing circuit that controls the lockup. As that vacuum switch finds the point where it's just about to go on, a certain throttle position, you'll get the vac switch will be going click, 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 just as my foot is in just in a certain position on the pedal, and the engine loads a certain vacuum. Of course, that contact then turns a 12-volt relay on, and that 12-volt relay fires the timing circuit, which interrupts the feed to the lockup clutch. But that triggering relay is not damped, and that, what I mean by that is it's instantly off on, so that emulates exactly the vac switch. So the vac switch chatters, the relay chatters. Now it doesn't matter that the vac switch chatters, because that's under the gearbox, we can't hear it. But the relay for this is behind the glove box, and we can hear a ticking. So what we do, we fit a capacitor across the coil windings, a reasonably large one. And that capacitor holds a little bit of charge, and when it chatters it's still charged, the capacitor's still charged up. And the relay has a tendency to just hold on for a few seconds while the power's disconnected. That stops that chatter. Cut that Polish chit chat and set your radio to 146. Attacking now. Where the hell are you, Simon? Up the hill we go. Just, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fight. You don't even know that you're going up the hill. You can't. The engine just does what you ask of it, or what demands are placed on it. Without totally effortless, bags of torque, just bags of torque in reserve as well if you wanted it. There's tons of it there if you want it. Engine ticks over good, zero pinking, absolutely nothing. And what did we change? Because if you've just come in and you've not watched it, I appreciate this is a long clip, by the way, I'm aware of that. You've just come in and say where's the power come from? We've changed two main things: the position of the kick down switch to make it so you've got to bury the pedal into the carpet, and the vac pickup from ported swapped to non-ported takeoff point. They're the changes. Very light rain. Okay, last bit of the journey now, a little bit of reverse on those windy roads. Again, we'll see how it responds coming the other way. These are the roads we gave it a bit of juice on. Can you see how that's just smooth and effortless power delivery? and linear. I might get a bit of a chance for a burst now. He's not gone left. Wary of the wet roads. Okay, we might get a chance for a burst now. I'm pinching a little bit of road. Just pinching a little bit there. At the right moment, of course, slippy there. Potholes. Second, nice change to third. Will not make overdrive. Sharp left. Greasy. Blind. Through. Slide power. Medium right. Straightening up for a left. Another right, sorry. And straightening up for a left. Straightening up for the left. Take a bit of road. A right, left, sorry, on the S, on the S. A little bit wide for this one, watching out for oncoming, dip in, power down, now, nice and smooth, blind, mud, okay, straight run, one nice smooth shift down, got a cyclist, coming in wide, tosser. He really should have given way to me then, that cyclist. That's not, I wasn't right. Fucking tosser. Stupid. He should have waited for the traffic to go past before he slipped in. He forced me across wider. If there's a car coming the other way, I would have had to brake. So that was wrong on his behalf. Massive pothole there. So bad it's two massive potholes. BMW swerving emergency action to get out of the way of those potholes. Still got that very light drizzle. Surely now. You're nearly done. Hope it doesn't shake. It's a look at a draw. Sometimes I feel if I've got the camera tripod securely enough, but it's just the way it is. Not much else we can do really now. I think we've proved the point. It's probably best to see you back at base. I think you've anything else to say. A long clip that. Thanks for being patient. Hope you enjoyed the ride there. It's a bit different. I am struggling for footage. I've not been out and about in any ghost towns or anything like that, so I know you like your Friday fix. The best I could do for you was this bit of tech and road test video for you tonight on Friday. This is going out for the regular YouTubers and Patreons. PC Cortina City, bringing you Mark 3 Cortinas all the time. The South American connection, COVID delays, that's all we can say. Very smooth. I'm going to rate this now 9.5 out of 10. The only point I'd knock it down on was there's a short gap between free and overdrive. That's the only thing. I'd like that a bit longer. And that could be the modulator. but I'm going to live with it. I ain't going to change it because it's very nice. I just turned a little bit of power off the fan there. If anyone doesn't know, the fan speed is on the choke control. A great mod. Or part of the seat back modification. Unavoidable tyre splurge. Put the autos back on for that. We won't pick it up. It's all chewed up as well, single track crossing. It's all chewed up, more potholes. To be fair, this driver in front's really hesitant. A bit of a dickhead, to be fair. Now they are a dickhead. There'll be a Dorder all the way. That BM will Dorder. That will Dorder all the way. It's just a Dorderer. And that's why you keep those things kept clear. Wow, look at that Bentley 8 JFP. Wow. What the hell's he doing? I can't work out what he's doing. Yeah, he's going straight across. Okay. Now watch, that's a really tricky one though. That really is tricky. So we'll catch you back. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the ride. This is Johnny Cab. Sue me asshole. Oh, no, zoom in again. We hope you enjoyed the Johnny Cab ride. Get your ass to Mars. 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 We hope you enjoyed the ride. I am Johnny Cab. I am Johnny Cab. We hope you enjoyed the ride. That'll be $25.65. Zoom it again. Okay folks, we're straight back from that little trip. Again, we've done about 3 or 4 trips, haven't we there? Before you all go to sleep, it's time for me to talk you to sleep by going through what we just did. Now, the whiteboard's pretty far away, so I apologise if you can't see it, but I'll use it for my notes if anything else. Distributor here, just going to draw that in with dizzy shaft and the HD caps on top. That's our dizzy. So the Vac advanced cam was on the side. That was the first thing that got altered. Instead of it going to the pickup point on the ported side, that's the side before the butterfly valves, it went to the inlet manifold side here on the little T-piece adapter. It's actually got 3 outlets. My Vac adapter's got 3 outlets. One was blanked off, so I used the blanked off one and then blanked off the carburettor one. Carburettor one was just up there. So we swapped that vacuum advance on the distributor from a ported pickup to a non-ported pickup. And all that means is ported is before the butterfly valve and non-ported is after. So you've got Vac all the time on there, which it seems to run better with. Whether that's to do with the cam, we're not sure, but I'm telling you, it runs good. You just saw some of the power. Another outlet on this T adapter is going to the gearbox, and the other one's the brake servo. So forget the brake servo. This gearbox one's what we're interested in. It used to go directly to the gearbox modulator. Now the modulator is again another vacuum device. I've got one in here. Hold on, let's get a modulator out. I did have one in here. I haven't got one in there. Okay, modulator is a vacuum diaphragm and a plunger. Basically what happens is the more vacuum, the more the plunger will move. It can be pressure spring loaded and then the vacuum releases it that way, or they can go and push the other way. Mostly they pull out, but they can be built differently. So anyway, whatever happens, the vacuum from our inlet manifold connects via this tube down to the side of the gearbox, and a plunger moves corresponding to the engine load. So if I accelerate, this rod is moving with the vacuum, because the vacuum varies with the engine load. So engine load makes this little rod at the side of the box, which is connected by that rubber vacuum tube into the engine bay, move left and right. When it does that, it alters the pressure inside the gearbox, the pressure rail inside the gearbox. Now, we won't go into that, how that works, because I don't really know. There's the gearbox. But it alters the pressure rail, which changes the way the gears up and down shift. So what you want is, when you're loading your pedal up, you want those upshifts and downshifts to correspond with how you're putting your foot on the gas. There's other factors, of course, the speed that the box is rotating, that's governed internally, but you can more or less dictate the way the gearbox behaves with that regulator. Some are adjustable, others are fixed. Mine's fixed. That was working all right, so we didn't need to worry about it. But what we did need to do is tee into the vacuum pipe, because we needed another outlet. We needed one to operate our Vac Switch, which you saw me go and pick up. The Vac Switch is again a sort of diaphragm plate, a circular diaphragm plate, moves with vacuum and presses on a simple micro switch. So you have that micro switch there, just at the side of the Vac Switch. And what we found is we adjust the Vac pressure switch so that it works in the range that we want. When we're putting the pedal down, we want to use this Vac switch to disengage the lockup. Now then, you might ask, why disengage the lockup, and what is the lockup? The lockup is the torque converter fits inside your bell housing, which controls the power into the gearbox. Older torque converters just run on as a free running torque converter, and at cruising speeds you lose a little bit of power with a torque converter because it's slushing itself round when you're on your cruising speeds, and you get a bit of heat generated from that and a bit of power loss just by the nature that it's an auto, and it's a centrifugal design where it's spinning round, all the fluid spinning round in the torque converter. They're good, but you lose a little bit of efficiency when you're doing a long cruise on them through heat loss and friction losses. What they came up with, it might not be a new idea, but it was starting to become popular later on, certainly early 80s, mid 80s at least, is they came up with a solenoid pressure operated clutch plate, which makes the torque converter become a fixed clutch plate. So inside it, it's actually got a clutch plate which is controlled by hydraulic fluid, and there's a solenoid valve on the side of the gearbox, and when you apply 12 volts to it, it routes fluid into the side. Quite cleverly, it goes inside the centre shaft of the torque converter, and there's channels drilled out, and then it forces these pistons to push a clutch plate. And by energising just a simple 12 volt solenoid, you lock your torque converter up, so the drive from your back of your engine is directly through into your gearbox, more or less. There could be slippage on those plates, of course, but it's more or less all the way through. So giving you a 5-speed efficiency gearbox, okay? So that's what it does. You need to control it though. There's times when you don't want it on. You don't want it on at very low speeds really, because it tends to try and stall your engine. Much as it would happen if you rolled up to the traffic lights with your clutch out and still in gear. So when it's low speed, you want to drop it out. So I built a speed controller which under 45 mile an hour will disconnect the power to the solenoid. It won't work anymore. So it drops the clutch out. So this speed sensor controller is something I've built electronically, measuring the speed inputs from the speed sensor, which is used for cruise control as well. So I've got an electronic box which stops them lock-up plates from working unless you're going over 45. They also won't work unless you're in the drive selector position on the gearbox. That's done with a little micro switch on the T-shifter which are fitted. So that's another thing that would stop it. So you actually route that wire through that T-shifter micro switch there. So it's got to get through that, and it's got to receive the speed signal of 45 mile an hour. So there's two things already stopping it from working, what you call a truth table. Okay, the other thing that's going to stop it from working is the vacuum level. When we accelerate, we'd like the clutch plate to drop out for a while so that your torque converter can spin up and give you a bit of torque multiplication. You'd lose that if you were locked together. So that's what when we're getting them surges between the gears, that's torque multiplication coming into effect. And that's what's happening. We don't want to lose that. So you've got to come up with this Vac switch which detects that, like I said before, detects that low pressure on the inlet manifold and flips the little micro switch across, which then also interrupts the circuit. So it has to get through three things now. Okay, three little routes it's got to go before it will work. Only when all those are satisfied does a lock-up come in, and that's how you control it. Now, one problem occurs in that when you're at a certain throttle position, thereby a certain vacuum position and a certain loading, thereby vacuum, you can get a point on these Vac switches where they chatter, because they're just in the point of being off and just in the point of being on, so you get this chattering going on. So you've got to damp that out. So what you do is you make it so the switch controls a little time delay circuit. Okay, and you can set that for about 10 seconds. So when it operates, the micro switch operates, it actually operates a time circuit. This circuit's actually drawn wrong if you really want to be critical about it. This micro switch now no longer interrupts it in that respect, but it controls a timer switch. So this is a positive feed to the Vac switch going to a timer module, which then has the contacts which interrupt the feed. So you're going out of your speed sensor, through a timer, through a T-shifter, and then there's one last obstacle it's got to overcome, and that's the brake pedal. And the brake pedal also activates the timer. So I've got a brake pedal, and that's a positive feed too to it. So the brake pedal gives me a positive signal which switches the timer circuit on. The Vac switch also gives a positive signal which also switches the time circuit on for 10 seconds. And for those 10 seconds, the contacts inside the timer are open. So that means that the lock-up power feed gets interrupted by either the timer, the T-shifter, or indeed it doesn't even exist if there's no speed. So speed comes in first. It's got to get through the timer. If you're not telling the timer to come on, so your brake pedal's not down and the Vac is good, it gets through the time circuit. As long as you're in drive, it gets through the T-shifter and it makes it to the box. As soon as I put my foot on the pedal, it activates the time circuit for 10 seconds, so it breaks the contacts for 10 seconds. That stops it. If I was to pulse on my brake pedal, in theory I could be knocking them torque lock-up plates around and chattering them. So that 10-second delay means you can only chatter them in intervals of 10 seconds. So if you really wanted to, you could go 10, 10, 10 on your torque converter lock-up plates. But you're not going to do that, and it stops the chattering. So that's it. That is it, how it works, the lock-up circuit that we did today. So for some reason we got more power by moving that Vac Advance onto the Dizzy. I've no idea why. We also adjusted the kick down, which again is a simple micro switch, just a little mini micro switch, and there's a lever on my accelerator pedal. That's the foot on the pedal. There's the pedal bar and the pivot point. It just touches a micro switch, and the micro switch just needed moving so that when the pedal comes down to about here, my fingers are now the carpet. Sorry about this crude analogy. You want to crush a little bit of carpet and exactly the same time hit the micro switch so you get a tactile feel of where your kick down is, rather than where I had it, which was just almost at 3/4 and causing me all sorts of downshift problems and not very smooth power delivery because it was sort of surging. You'll hear that on some of the earlier videos. You can hear me quickly come off the gas when I realised what's going on. So that's what we did in these videos. For this video tonight, I've been Pete C at Cortina City. That's a little bit of a tech vid. I'll show you up close. We're going to flip the screen now. Hold on, you'll see my ugly mug for a sec. Back round we go. So that was the layout. Gearbox here, torque converter there, lockup plates are contained within. Solenoid that control the lockup plates has to get through the T-shifter, has to get through that timer. It has to be told to come on from the 45 mph signal. Once all that's correct, lockup begins. Hit your brake pedal, supplies a positive feed to a timer circuit which breaks these contacts, stopping this lockup signal from making it through. So the timer is a bit of an interrupt. Vac switch fires up, also activates the timer if the vac is too low. Only when the vac returns to a better pressure, around 10 HGs, does it press the switch in with the plate or release the switch. It's going to be wired the other way around. It disables the timer, and after 10 seconds the timer then makes contacts and the lockup comes back in. So you can't you can't make it chatter by just rocking the vac signal on your pedal. So this doesn't chatter at least for 10 seconds. That could be 20 seconds if you wanted. Best anything over 10 though, and not really more than 20, because otherwise you want your lockup coming back in as soon as you're ready to cruise, you see. So that was it. I'm just not going to know about this and why we got extra power out of it. I'm just never going to know. But on that note, I shall all leave you now. Sorry about the bars on the, you can see the scrolling bars on the screen. That's to do with the hertz rate of the LEDs and the cameras. You can get the camera frame rate to sort of sync it out, but with some jobs on the board up here which I've been working my way through. Ruby needs rear window chrome redoing. Speed switch wants doing on Ruby, so we will need to apply the same formula with this truth table of the Vac switch. Ruby hasn't got the Vac switch on his lockup either, because his lockup comes in with the cruise control, which isn't always good because I don't always use the cruise control, and so I'm losing a lot of lockup opportunities. So Ruby needs to be retrofitted. So that's what these jobs are for here. Bramble's had his oil change, mixer check, speaker output check, diff casing seal was all right. I can cross that off. It ain't leaking. That's gone. No medium wave on the radio. Long wave is okay, so done about that. Fuel tank sender leak. We've got a new fuel sender, so that needs fitting. The green one, engine bay, couple of touch-ups on the paint, fuel lines to change, coolant to flush, brake fluid to swap on Tina G. And then Swampy's got fuel tank pressure leak. That'll be the rubber seal, because this is that bloody new petrol. It's wrecking everything. Oil change is due, brake fluid change is due. Needs electronic points, he's still on manual points. Check the mixture, freshen up the engine bay. Re-wax oil, because he's due now for a re-wax oil. Carpet, I was going to get a new carpet from Australia. The carpet's good, but it's not the right type for that car. It's for Mark IV. It fits, but it's the wrong colour. Rear cylinder check. Rear cylinder check, don't know what that is. Don't know what I mean by that. Rear cylinder check, don't know. I have to try and remember. What was rear cylinder check? What did I mean by that? Handbrake adjust defo, that's an important one. The handbrake's really slack on it. Fuel line replaced with R6. So there's some of the jobs, but for now I'm gonna go. We hope you've enjoyed the ride, and we'll catch you in another Friday night video. I don't know if there'll be anything next week. I never really know till halfway through the week, but thanks for all the comments. The super chats, super chat crew, the super chat crew, get the jukebox out. We may be on in 15 minutes for a live chat. I don't know, it just depends if I feel a bit tired. I have been running today, 5k run, so, and it was uphill, it was sand dunes, so I'm knackered. We'll have to see, but if not, we'll see you next week. And thanks again for the support on YouTube and the Patreons, and the wingmen there kept everything going. Bramble says good night. I say good night. Catch you soon. Over and out. PC. Yeah, here we are. Hey, a famous class.
Wait.
We're the only people in the shop, by the way, to supply. But I have. I will now. We will now.
Just open the magazine and show her.
That's me.
Is it?
I'm in there.
In the middle page.
It's 78. Hey.
Sorry, it's 550.
Oh yeah, I've got to pay for it first. Yeah, no, don't worry. I'll get the 50.
He's gonna do his claim to fame and show you
there's
himself.
not many people around for you today. I bet the day's gone
I thought
slow
you were in the
for you.
middle page.
Thought I was. I'm definitely here. There we are. That's me there.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, do you like old cars?
I haven't got an old car.
Did you? What did you have?
It was 2008, that's not an old
Oh,
car.
right. I don't know. It might be.
I've still got an old car. Mine's 2006.
Thank you. That's so cool.
Cool in the gang.
So is this about you or about
Yeah.
the car?
Bit of both.
Ah, that's really cool. Have you got multiple cars then?
Yeah. We bring these all the time to this service station.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
We're in a
'Cause
silver
this
one
service
today, aren't we?
station's like an original feature, that, you know, that tower.
Yeah.
It's a very old, well, it's, you know, it goes right back, I think, to the 50s. So, it's always good bringing a classic car to this station because it's like a time up. I need to get into the upstairs really and film it. Have you been up there?
I've never been up.
Wow, how long you worked here?
I've only worked here since September.
Okay.
But I know lots of people that have worked here for a while that have been up there.
Wow.
I know some people that have been.
Right, I want to go up there. Yeah, this is good. I've got a few copies, but thanks. I've paid you, haven't I?
Thank you. See ya.